Hello, and welcome to our session 3 of the OPT webinar. And this we will be going over the OPT roadmap. So as you can see, we've gone over quite a bit of topics. In today's topics, we're going to go through an overview, DHS advisements, approvals, denials, and communication. So this is the post-completion OPT roadmap. So the student requests OPT, the OPT recommended I-20 from their DSO. They receive it. They file the I-765 form. USCIS adjudicates that I-765 form. The student gets the approval, and then they get their EAD card and starts working. Once that student has secured employment, they are to send their job offer letter to their DSO so that can be placed in CVIS. And then from there, if you have any changes, report those changes, address changes, employment changes to your DSO. All right. Avila University follows DHS guidance for OPT requests, timelines, and deadlines. Below are the steps that are required for all students. 1. The student follows the school processes to submit the OPT request to the DSO. 2, the DSO confirms eligibility, enters the request in CVIS, and issues that Form I-20. We sign the Form I-20, we give it to students, and then at that moment, in CVIS, your status request in CVIS changes to requested. All right. So a note to that is that any OPT status requests or updates are automatic and require no action of the DSO, right? Right. So the third step, the student signs the I-20, and then the student files the application for employment authorization, or the Form I-765. You file it, you submit all supporting documents, and you have to turn that in within 30 days of that DSO recommendation on that I-20. So if I issue you an I-20, an OPT endorsed I-20 today, you have until April 11th to file that I-765 form. If you wait 1 day after that 30-day period is over, your OPT will be denied. So be mindful of that. All right. Upon receipt, number 4, upon receipt of the I-765 form, USCIS will issue you a receipt of notice. So it'll say, or a receipt notice, basically saying that um, you have filed this is your receipt number, right? Throughout that process, USCIS, they change it from requested to pending, right? And then there are a few things that can happen. If USCIS needs more information, then they will send the student the RFE, and on these RFEs, should a student get one, they all have deadlines, right? So after the RFE process, then USCIS, if you do the not all students will go through the RFE process, but after the RFE process, um, then the decision is made, right? And either your I-765 is approved or it is denied. If it is approved, then the student will be mailed a employment authorization document, or a EAD card, and it will be mailed to the address listed on the I-765 form as their mailing address. And then your status will be updated in CVIS as approved. And if it's denied, they will send you a letter with the specific reasons for denial. Of course, if you get denied, there is no step 5 or 6, but assuming that all of our students will get approved, we go to step 5. So the student receives the EAD card and begins working once the card is there, right? Once that card is in your hand, you are able to work. If you do not have your EAD card in hand, you cannot work. All right. And then once you're hired, then we get your employee information and put it in your CVIS file. All right. And then, of course, if you have any changes, you have 10 days to report those things to me. And if you have any or any address changes, name changes, or things like that, you report those within 10 days to me. And then I'm responsible for updating CVIS within 21 days of your employment with that employment information. All right, deadlines. Form I-765 filing deadlines once the DSO requests OPT in CVIS, right? So your deadline or your clock does not begin until I send you that OPT endorsed I-20, right? That 30-day countdown begins. On day 30, USCIS has received the application, has everything that they need. And then after day 30, if you have not received anything or turned in anything beyond that, your I-765 form will be denied. So it's important to keep these timelines in mind. All right, and here's a breakdown of the process. So here's what students need to do. The students first need to verify their graduation or their program end date with their advisor, right? So you don't want to apply for OPT more than 90 days before your program end date. If you apply for it more than 90 days before your program end date, you will be denied, right? You are to complete all of the OPT webinars. My expectation is that all students who are eligible and up for OPT goes through these webinars so that they understand what they are supposed to be doing and how things are going. Um, then you prepare all your I-765 materials, so your two passport photos, your I-95, your original I-20, your OPT endorsed I-20, all of those things, including the filing fee. So you also want to have that filing fee prepared as soon as you get that OPT I-20. And for online filing, you'll have to have $470. And if you file by paper, you would need $520. Um, then from there, you want to submit the I-20, the OPT endorsed I-20 request. So when you have everything in hand and you're ready to pay and ready to submit, that's when I suggest that you request that OPT endorsed I-20 just to make sure that no issues arise. Then you file the I-765 application and pay all the associated fees. And then finally, after that is done, USCIS begins their adjudication processes. Okay, so what happens during the adjudication period? USCIS will process your application by searching through all governmental systems for your information. If USCIS needs additional information, they will mail you a request for evidence or an RFE. That RFE has a specific due date and they want you to submit very specific things. Make sure that you submit everything that USCIS requests, how they request it. All right. Now, if USCIS has found that you are not eligible for the OPT benefit, you will be sent a denial email and a paper denial. I don't believe that we're doing email denials anymore. I think it's just paper. All right. And if USCIS has found that you are eligible for the OPT benefit, you will receive an approval plus your EAD card in the mail, and you're able to begin working as soon as you receive that EAD card. What happens after approval? Students will be issued the EAD, the Employment Authorization Document, and you are eligible to work as soon as you receive that document. And please note, you are not eligible until you have that EAD card in your hand. What happens after the denial? There are a few things or a few denial reasons that we can go back and reapply for, some things that we can, look through and just make sure that it wasn't something or some small thing. We might be able to help you. In some instances, you can request that USCIS revisit your application, right? You can ask them like, hey, could you, take another look at this? In other instances, you're able to reapply. And when you reapply, you're going to have to pay that $470 application fee again. And it's important to understand that it's not every instance qualifies you to ask USCIS to revisit your application, and not all instances is it beneficial for you to reapply. So in the case where you got a master's degree in computer science, and you did OPT in the STEM extension, and then you transferred to Avila and got another computer science degree. If you got denied for that, you don't have any OPT benefit left. So there is no reason to reapply because of course you've already got it. You're not going to get it again. But there are some instances where small things could have prohibited you from getting that approval. Also, another thing is if you received an RFE and you don't respond to it in time, you are not eligible to ask USCIS to revisit your application. You will have to reapply. All right. In communication. Communication throughout the entirety of the OPT process is vital, and you want to keep us up to date on what is happening. So, we cannot help you, we cannot assist you, we cannot advise you on anything if you don't let us know that there is a problem. So, it is important to keep an open line of communication with your CPT or OPT coordinator. And that was all I have. So, you guys have a great day, and I'll see you next session.